shrugs his shoulders. He knows that there's a hit of fortune about how he found his way into the net.
My name's Ben Cole, I'm 20, and when I was 17 I was diagnosed with cancer and I used to play football for Southampton Football Club. Well, I started playing from the age of like 6 when my mum dragged me to Little Down, and then I just played at my local Sunday League team, and then I had the choice of Southampton, Bournemouth and Portsmouth, and I chose Southampton, and I stopped playing literally July just gone pretty much, so 13 years, count everything, so yeah, majority of my life. I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma. It's a rare type of bone cancer. So I was playing in a friendly football match against Plymouth, I can remember it to this day, and I got like a dead leg. So my knee swelled up and they thought I'd done some sort of ligament damage. I went and an MRI scan. It just came back as like a massive sort of hematoma, like a blood ball in the back of my knee. They basically said, okay, that will go down on its own, it's fine. The pain went and I got back playing football.
So what would a day of training consist of?
So we go in, breakfast would be at 9 o'clock, then we do like our warm-up at 10, train till probably like half 11, 12, then have lunch till 1. Typically then have gym till sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then from 2:30 till 4 another training session, and then we'd go home at about 5. Carried on playing for the rest of the season, and then it came to pre-season training and a physio noticed that I had a really big lump in the side of my right leg, so they were like, we're going to have to get it taken out. So I went to hospital and they tried to aspirate it, nothing happened, so I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to have a minor operation in the scheme of things, and in all the sort of prep for that they took a biopsy. I got a phone call from my mum when I was going to the cinema, and she was like, Ben, you need to come home, we need to go up to Watford in the morning to have a emergency appointment with the oncologist. And I was like, okay then. So I was in a bit of shock, so obviously I went home and then I went up there and found out. I'd like to think I was good enough to still be playing. I represented England when I was 14 in the under-16s, so I'd like to think that I'd be somewhere getting paid quite nicely to play football. Probably not at Southampton, but probably maybe a League One club, something like that. And then we got told it was like 0.04% chance that it would be cancerous because of how rare the form of cancer is. I first heard the word cancerous and I just was like, well, I didn't even think, I brushed it off. My mum was like, oh, this could be quite serious, and I didn't even think about it. Hearing the news that your friends or one of your siblings has got cancer isn't the easiest thing. So my parents and family and obviously my friends took hearing the diagnosis quite hard. It's not something you expect to happen to anyone close to you, and especially if it's not of any relevance to, if it's not like genetic or something like that. So it was just some freak form of just being unlucky. So obviously initially it was a bit heartbreaking and tragic, but it's what life is and you just get on with it. Growing up I used to support Chelsea, but that was only because all my mates support Chelsea. But then as soon as I started playing for Southampton, I kind of had a reason to support someone that wasn't the best team there was. So it was Southampton at the time, and it probably still is now. All I knew was that this was going to happen and my life was going to change. I was kind of just like, all right, get me over and done with. I felt quite motivated at the start, but I just...
How long were you in treatment for?
In total, it was about a year. It was split up into different bits. So I had 6 months of quite intense chemotherapy, and then I had sort of like 2 months worth of radiotherapy, and then I had a right distal femoral replacement, so basically just a knee replacement, and then another sort of 3 months of intense chemotherapy, and then I was given the all clear. Like every time I had treatment, I had to have blood taken from my arms, or at the time I had Hickman line, but basically it went into my chest and over my collarbone and into one of my veins by my heart, and that's where all my chemo went in and through. For basically a whole year I had to have this thing that dangled from my chest, so I couldn't have a shower properly, I couldn't go in water, I couldn't have a bath, and all my chemo went in from the drip, all into my chest and then all around my body. Every day I still had sort of coursework and education to get finished on deadlines and stuff like that. But I just felt really tired all the time. And going from being able to run sort of for a long distance for quite a long time, and then being able to not even want to get out of bed in the morning because you're just too tired. Completely opposite ends of the spectrum. I never scored one, to be fair. I was a defender, so it was a goal against Norwich when I was 17. I played a different position for a change and scored, which is a surprise.
How has having that changed your lifestyle with your life?
I'd say it's made me a lot closer to my family. It's made me push boundaries of what I can and can't get away with in the nicest of ways. But it's told me that life's a lot shorter than you expect it to be, and it can happen to anyone at any time. So making the most of everything and living the best life, basically.